Oscar ratings drop like a rock as Americans say no to Hollywood race hustlers. A Muslim cleric rules that Islam has no problem with a father who, quote, kisses his daughter with lust. And we'll take a look inside the Republican Party's desperate mission to stop Donald Trump. My name is Howard Riell, and this is Riell Truth. You're listening to the American Freedom Network, streaming live around the world at AmericanNewsNet.com and on Facebook and YouTube and Tumblr, and in the book Riell Truth, Stay Angry. And of course, as always, broadcasting out across the Colorado Front Range on KHNC, Johnstown, Colorado, 1360 AM The Lion. Our caller number is 877-254-7524. My friends, I hope you had a good weekend. Here we go. Item from ImpulseToday.com. Conservative donors have engaged a major GOP consulting firm in Florida to research the feasibility of mounting a late independent run for president amid growing fears that Donald Trump could win the Republican nomination. Stop! You heard it right, my friends. Republicans are afraid that the Republican leader is too popular. Too many Americans want to vote for the top Republican, and that's worrying Republicans. Does that make any sense to you? A memo prepared for the group zeroes in on ballot access as a looming obstacle for any independent candidate, along with actually identifying a viable, widely known contender and coalescing financial support for that person. Unquote. My friends, the Republicans are so stupid, I'm talking about the party machinery, that they're looking at drafting Mitt Romney, who lost because he was a bumbling fool of a candidate 4 years ago. So this tried and true loser is their response to the amazing popularity of Donald Trump. Item inside the Republican Party's desperate mission to stop Donald Trump. The scenario Karl Rove outlined was bleak. Addressing a luncheon of Republican governors and donors in Washington on February 19th, he warned that Donald Trump's increasingly likely nomination would be catastrophic, dooming the party in November. But Mr. Rove, the master strategist of George W. Bush's campaigns, insisted it was not too late for them to stop Mr. Trump, according to three people present. Excuse me. At a meeting of Republican governors the next morning, Paul LePage of Maine called for action. Seated at a long boardroom table at the Willard Hotel, he erupted in frustration over the state of the 2016 race, saying Mr. Trump's nomination would deeply wound the Republican Party. Mr. LePage urged the governors to draft an open letter to the people, disavowing Mr. Trump and his divisive brand of politics. The suggestion was not taken up. Since then, Mr. Trump has only gotten stronger, winning 2 more state contests and collecting the endorsement of Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey. The Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has laid out a plan that would have lawmakers break with Mr. Trump in a general election. In public, there were calls for the party to unite behind a single candidate. In dozens of interviews, elected officials, political strategists, and donors described a frantic last-ditch campaign to block Mr. Trump, and the agonizing reasons that many of them have become convinced it will fail. Behind the scenes, a desperate mission to save the party sputtered and stalled at every turn. Efforts to unite warring candidates behind one failed spectacularly. An overture from Senator Marco Rubio to Mr. Christie angered and insulted the governor. An unsubtle appeal from Mitt Romney to John Kasich about the party's need to consolidate behind one rival of Mr. Trump fell on deaf ears. At least 2 campaigns have drafted plans to overtake Mr. Trump in a brokered convention, and the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, has laid out a plan that would have lawmakers break with Mr. Trump explicitly in a general election. Despite all the forces arrayed against Mr. Trump, the interviews show, the party's been gripped by a nearly incapacitating leadership vacuum and a paralytic sense of indecision and despair. Stop right there! There may be nothing more important you will hear in this election cycle than that. The Republican Party gripped by a nearly incapacitating leadership vacuum and a paralytic sense of indecision and despair. That is the Republican Party. That is why it's failed. That is why it's been impotent during all of Barack Obama's presidency. And that is why only one candidate, someone who comes from outside the paralytic, incapacitating, vacuum-filled party, can save this country. There is no one in the Republican Party who has a clue about what to do about Donald Trump, because no one in the Republican Party can or will do anything to help America. They are part of the two-headed Leviathan, the big government party. It's got a Republican wing, it's got a Democratic wing. The game is fixed. The House wins. The losers, that's us, the American people. Donald Trump says no. Donald Trump and Chris Christie and others, all the people around them, and all the millions of people who voted for them so far, are saying, no, we won't continue to have a rigged game. We, the people, rule in the United States of America, and of course we're right. It's the establishment that's dooming us, that's trying to control us, that's taking away our money and our freedom. It's the politicians and the beltway, the political class. They can't stand Trump because Trump is a man of the people. That's exactly why we have got to have Donald Trump. Continue. Trump won smashing victories in South Carolina and Nevada. Donors have dreaded the consequences of clashing with Mr. Trump directly. Elected officials have balked at attacking him out of concern they might unintentionally fuel his populist revolt. And Republicans have lacked someone from outside the presidential race who could help set the terms of debate from afar. Stop, my friends. You've been watching the news over the weekend just as I have. Marco Rubio has embarrassed himself by going out sounding like an 11-year-old boy trying to insult Donald Trump every way he possibly can. From talk about a sweat mustache to wetting his pants. Mitt Romney, Ted Cruz are hurling every kind of potential insult they can at Trump, hoping that something will stick. It won't. And it shows how clueless they are. The American people clearly want Donald Trump. And for those who are worried that he won't be able to beat Hillary Clinton, my friends, anybody could beat Hillary Clinton. She's got so many negatives. She's such a dunce. She's so dirty. You have nothing to worry about. These Republican Party types are disqualifying themselves because they're shown to be political hacks. It's Monday. It's Riell Truth. I got lots for you. Stay tuned.
I'm Joe Jacobs, CEO of the Patriot Trading, and I would like to encourage everyone to make sure they are prepared financially as the Federal Reserve continues to destroy the value of the dollar. Since the closing of the gold window in 1971, the Federal Reserve has led the way in the explosion of debt and the devaluing of your money. They openly say that they need 2% inflation, which simply means they hope to devalue your money, and they want to do this every single year, year after year. I know it's hard to understand, but the Federal Reserve believes in prosperity through debt and growth via the devaluation of your future. To learn more about how to protect yourself, visit us at allamericangold.com or call us at 800-951-0592 and protect yourself against the devaluing of your money. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld His glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bore witness of Him and cried out, saying, This was He of whom I said, He who comes after me is preferred before me, for He was before me. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 14 and 15. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque or reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. Article 1, Section 10.
back to Riell Truth. Yes, I'm Howard Riell. Everything you've heard is true. Well, not everything. Roger Stone is a Washington insider. He has been one since the Nixon administration. He's written a book about the Bushes. He's written a book about the Clintons. He's written other books. He's been an insider in helping Donald Trump craft his campaign. He is a sharp, sharp guy. He was a guest recently on Alex Jones's InfoWars show. I'm going to play you several clips of Roger Stone because I've listened to it. He unravels exactly what's happening in the presidential campaign. And frankly, what he says is kind of scary because he outlines the depths to which the Republican establishment, the political machine, will go to control your vote and mine. Let's listen. Alex Jones, Roger Stone.
Just run the gamut of why they're so scared of Donald Trump, killing political correctness. I mean, blowing a hole through it, calling the emperor's new clothes, and then I get concerned, and let's start here first, and I'm going to try to shut up, I'm so excited, with the fact that, think about this, the New York Times clearly gave the green light for their columnists to come out and say we need to kill Donald Trump, and we see many others saying we need to shut him down, we need to arrest him, the IRS needs to come after him, and everything you predicted. I mean, if everybody doesn't get behind Trump, they're clearly siding with the establishment. There's never been a clear-cut example. Roger Stone, and I'm just so glad in the last 6 months that I began to get behind Trump's reading the tea leaves and realizing, no, this guy's got to be for real. 9/11 Truth, wanting to audit the Federal Reserve. I mean, it is just incredible what he's doing. Great to have you here.
Delighted to be here, Alex, as always.
I know I'm ranting, it's just so exciting, but my excitement is a mirror of the audience out there. I mean, they're like 95% behind Trump now. Folks in my office that weren't for Trump are now saying, no, it's clear, we've got to get behind Trump. What do you think's happening? Of all the cornucopia I threw out, where should we start first?
Well, this is why the establishment, the insiders, the D.C., Wall Street cabal are so upset. The rise of Trump is a repudiation of 40 years of bipartisan treason. It is a complete repudiation of the fiscal policies that have left this country broke, the immigration policies that have taken away our security, the foreign interventionist policies that have made us spend blood and treasure for nothing, the trade policies that put us at a giant disadvantage to China, to Japan, to Mexico. Trump is naming names, and he understands the Clintons and the Bushes, the Republicans and the Democrats are in it together. And he scares the daylights out of the establishment because normally, as sadly was the case with Reagan, when an outsider is elected president, they're immediately co-opted. What happens is the establishment comes around and say, oh, Mr. President, you don't know how things work. We know how things work here in Washington. Let us help you. When they help you, they try to undo all of your policies. Trump cannot be bought. He cannot be bullied. He cannot be influenced. He cannot be squeezed. He cannot be blackmailed. And that is why the political establishment is literally wetting their britches over the radical reform that Trump would bring. He's going to re-examine 9/11. He's going to re-examine the origins of the phony Iraq War. He's going to re-examine our Federal Reserve. He's going to demand an audit. Who knows bankers better than
Because he understands this political elite's going to come after him regardless, even if he was a sociopath, which I don't think he is. I think he's a guy that really cares about America. He knows they're going to keep coming after him once he gets in. He's got the will to politically kill them once he's president.
He's a man of enormous personal courage. I think that his life is in danger. He is such a threat to the status quo, to the ruling elite, to the established order. There's no way to stop Trump NATO. Now, I can tell you, in every one of these primary states, the infrastructure controlled by his opponents was greater. Yet he's running up giant numbers. Democrats, independents, African Americans, people who've stopped voting, people who never voted are coming to the aid of their country. He's running up numbers like I've never seen. So he is so much better than his campaign in the sense that this is a spontaneous grassroots uprising. Donald Trump shows up and thousands show up to greet him.
And here's the big question everybody asks. Once he gets in, I know he's a smart guy, I can tell he doesn't, he likes prosperity, he's not one of these kleptocrats that wants to make people poor to control him. That's what this austerity, globalism's all about. He clearly is against that, that's why they hate him, they're so scared of him, he's a nationalist. But if he doesn't deliver on a lot of this, obviously he knows people are going to be so hurt that he will get politically destroyed.
But he's not running because he needs to be president. He's not running because he wants to burnish his ego or his reputation. He's climbed every mountain you can climb.
No, I understand that, but I mean, you know him so well, talk to him every day, known him for 40 years. Tell us who Donald Trump really is at his essence and what you think he'll do once he's president.
He's a fighter. He is a man of enormous courage. He's a patriot. He's a nationalist. He's a firm believer in American sovereignty. And why is he running? I can sum this up. He's tired of seeing the country go down the drain. And when he says to us, our leaders are stupid, their decisions are stupid, their decisions make no sense. You want to give $150 billion to Iran in frozen assets? That's a stupid decision. Nobody could make a decision like that who cares about the future of their country. So Trump is giving up, Alex, an incredible lifestyle. He's got a great family.
He's making himself a major target.
There's no question. And he's working very hard. I dare say it's been a long time since he's seen a golf course. This guy loves to play golf as a form of relaxation, as a form of focus. But he's working harder than those who know him ever believed he would work, because he sees the future of America in the balance, and he understands this is it. This is the moment. We either save our country, take it back, and restore its greatness, or we step into 1,000 years of darkness.
Roger Stone is our guest. We're going to skip the summer break. This is so important. Looking at this, I've studied history. I've been involved in politics for 25 years, first working for Buchanan when I was in high school. I'm not a political insider, though. I'm just a person from the grassroots that got involved with Access TV, then radio, then syndicated radio, because I really didn't want to be a slave. And I could see multinationals coming in and killing the Bill of Rights, killing the Constitution, and turning myself and my family into slaves. I mean, it really comes down to that I'm territorial. I'm not going to have a bunch of special interests come in and root. Oh, Sean Hannity's good on it.
These guys have given Trump his fair shake, and that his point of view is at least reflected.
Even though there's orders coming down probably from Murdoch too.
Well, compare that to CNN, which is the Clinton News Network.
All I'm saying is, shouldn't Fox be more supportive of a populist conservative?
I think they are supportive of
Okay,
him.
good.
I do think he gets access, and he gets his chance to lay out his case to the American people. So I am not a critic of Fox, but I'll say this. I am a critic of CNN. Now, it's very interesting. Alex, I went back and had to look. Since August of last year, I've either been on Fox Business or the Fox News Channel to talk on behalf of Trump, to defend Trump, to stand up for Trump 49 times. I have been on CNN exactly 3 times since August.
So I get your point.
Yesterday announced that I am banned. Banned from what? Banned from something I was never admitted to? This gets even more comical. MSNBC, under pressure from Media Matters from America, this group of twisted freaks who are Clinton apologists, who the Clintons can do no wrong. First they demand I be banned at CNN, where I was never admitted. Now MSNBC, where I have not appeared once this year and appeared once last year. They've banned me. How do you ban someone who's never been admitted to begin with?
So why are they announcing it? Just to set the precedent for banning people?
Well, because they know I have the goods on the Bushes and the Clintons. Because they know, as someone who was an insider for 40 years, someone who was in the service of 3 American presidents, who worked on 9 Republican presidential campaigns, as someone who worked in the U.S. Senate as an assistant to Senator Bob Dole, a patriot, as someone who worked in the U.S. House as an assistant to Congressman Bob Steele, who was a member of the House Budget Committee, they know that I've seen the inside workings of the establishment. They know I have the goods on Hillary Clinton. They know that I'm well aware of the fact that her husband is a sexual predator who has attacked multiple women, but more importantly, that Hillary has been an accessory after the fact in every one of those sex crimes. They know that I'm well aware of Bill's abandoned mixed-race son, Danny Williams, who they threw away like a piece of trash, and who they doctored up a phony DNA test. They know that I have the keys to defeating the Clintons, and therefore Stone must be discredited. We must discredit him because he knows too much.
Well, now see your point. You're right about Fox. I would just expect them, I mean, obviously they're not as bad as CNN or MSNBC. I would just expect them, with a patriot like this, a clear winner, not to do the little jabs and stuff. So that's why I'm upset with
But
Fox.
at least they're a real news network. When they say fair and balanced, they are fair and balanced. And many
So I get it. That's why they have some folks attacking Trump.
many of the talking heads there, who I know privately, personally, very pro-Trump and not afraid to say so. And they let Trump and the Trump campaign get its fair share.
Well, let's talk numbers then. Super Tuesday. what do you expect to happen? What's a big win versus something that isn't as good a win? What do you really think is about to happen?
I still think Trump is on track to win big because this is a natural phenomenon. It's not about paid television commercials. It's not about phone banks. It's not about the party organization and who's endorsed by who. This is a citizen uprising, and all the polls have been wrong. Donald Trump has always outperformed the polls. He actually runs ahead of where the polls say they're going to run. So here's the bad news for the Republican establishment. They have always assumed that as this field winnowed down, as the Chris Christie's got out of the race, as Jeb Bush got out of the race, as the race boiled down to 2 candidates or 3 candidates, that all the establishment voters would galvanize behind the establishment candidate. Trump could be defeated. Here's what they didn't count on. Trump is bringing in thousands of new people, young people, disaffected people.
It's populism. That's what they're scared of.
It's Andrew Jackson-style populism. And ironically, the establishment never liked Jackson. You know why? He was so crude. He was so blunt. He was so plain-spoken. He was so uncultured. He was he was a truth teller of his time. And he denounced the big banks. He denounced federal control by the big banks. Does this sound familiar? Donald Trump may be the greatest American hero since Andrew Jackson.
I was about to say, if he gets elected, it actually delivers on 20% of what he says he'll do, because obviously he can't do everything. He's not a dictator. He'll be as big as George Washington. I think Trump realizes that, but you know him well, that if he can be the guy that's the turnaround expert for America and the brand Americana, that he'll be who John Wayne wishes he was.
And I only think, in all honesty, that it'll take 1 term. He only wants 1 term because he's going to bring such broad change to the country. Let's take the wall. Donald Trump knows, from an engineering point of view, from a construction point of view, that the wall can be built. The Mexicans say they're not going to pay for it. Donald Trump's well aware of the fact that the Mexican government is laundering millions of dollars in drug money. They are the central bank, billions. They are the central bankers for the cartels. So we'll be indicting Mexican national figures. We'll have a war because we're going to make them obey the law, and Donald Trump will make the Mexicans stop importing billions of dollars into our country in drugs that are destroying our inner cities, that are killing our young people.
Well, there's a lot of other pressure also that can be done because there's so many subsidies, billions a year sitting down there, just to quote, fight the drug war. There's so much leverage. Mexico is basically totally dependent on the U.S. And so for people to say it's crazy he's going to make them pay for a wall, Trump, I believe, will actually try to get that done. But what I like is him coming out and saying, audit the Fed. You were on a few days before he came out with those tweets. And was that just spontaneous that he did that, or had you been talking to him?
Who understands bankers better than Donald Trump? Donald Trump understands the banker mentality. He's taken more bankers to the cleaner than any businessman in the country. He understands how they operate, and he wants to know what's happening at the Fed. He wants to understand the Fed's role in our economy. Look, I worked in the Senate. I worked in the House. I worked on the budgeting process. There's billions of dollars of fraud and waste in our federal budget. But the reason that everybody in the political class always talks about cutting it but never really cuts it is because every one of those dollars has been put there by somebody powerful, some senator, some congressman, some special.
And that's why they're scared to death, is he might actually cut that off.
He is going to take an axe to federal spending. Look at the way he runs his own companies. He runs a very tight ship. He wastes not
$1. Folks shouldn't be scared because then all that money.
All right, guys, I'm going to hold the video right there. We're going to come back to Roger Stone and Alex Jones on the next segment. This stuff is fantastic, and if you listen to it, you know Roger Stone knows what he's talking about. I don't see how you come to any other conclusion that Trump is the right man at the right time. Speaking of which, item from the Business Insider. Senator Jeff Sessions of Alabama endorsed Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump's campaign on Sunday. Trump announced the endorsement alongside Sessions at a massive campaign rally in Madison, Alabama. At this time in America's history, we need to make America great again, Sessions exclaimed, echoing Trump's campaign slogan. I am pleased to endorse Donald Trump for the presidency of the United States. We'll take a break. More Riell Truth ahead.
We all know that our government is out of control. What are the point the people in it? How can we, the people, bring it back to the people's servants, not the people's masters? Liberty Forum and the Freedom Rider says officials in government must be made accountable for their actions. AccountabilityRevolution.com is the place to go to learn how you can actually make that happen. Become their judges, not their slaves. AccountabilityRevolution.com. Great Plains Power has been providing reliable electrical power systems in the Rocky Mountain area since 1992. Our systems rely on the sun to help make you self-reliant for your power needs. Solar energy can be scaled to fit any situation, from complete power independence to backup power for the short term. Our expertise focuses on standalone power, but we have extensive experience with utility interactive systems as well. Custom-tailored capabilities as modest emergency lighting all the way to commercial-scale power. Great Plains Power is a full-service company. We service everything we sell. We provide and design turnkey packages, custom-designed system, and parts for do-it-yourself. With more than 20 years of specialized experience at your disposal, let us know what your power concerns or goals are. Meet us by phone or the internet. Call 303-239-9963. That's 303-239-9963. Or go to GreatPlainsSolar.com. Now this is the testimony of John when the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, "Who are you?" He confessed and did not deny, but confessed, "I am not the Messiah." And they asked him, "What then? Are you Elijah?" He said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" And he answered, "No." The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 19 through 21. Article 4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the places to be searched and the person or thing to be seen. Piccolo's restaurant in Denver reminds us that over 750,000 children were reported missing last year. Over 58,000 of these were abducted by non-family members. Keep an eye out for youngsters at play, and if you see anything suspicious, contact the authorities immediately. This message from Piccolo's restaurant in Denver is not only the best Italian and Mexican cuisine, it's the people who care. Give them a call at 303-757-5166. 303-757-5166. Piccolo.
Alright guys, welcome back. Howard Riell. We've got more on the Republicans trying to destroy Donald Trump. We're going back to Infowars.com, back to Alex Jones and Roger Stone. More talk about the maelstrom surrounding Donald Trump and the establishment's bid to take away our freedom of choice and keep us from electing the next president. They want that privilege. Here we go. Let's listen some more.
Even though he was already banned, they wanted to announce it like they control the narrative. Now, I'm ranting, Mr. Stone. You've got the floor right through for the next 12 minutes till we go to break.
Here's my big concern, Alex. Unlike with Ronald Reagan, at a certain point, the political establishment realized that the Reagan avalanche could not be stopped. And therefore, they tried to force former President Gerald Ford on him for vice president. And then they ultimately did force George H.W. Bush on him. That was the price of peace. That was the price of a united Republican Party. Also, they began to see that Reagan could defeat Carter. And, of course, they wanted to get their nose back into the trough. And they figured, don't worry about Reagan. Once he's president, we can surround him with our people. We can co-opt him.
And that was back when we were still kind of two parties.
Yes, indeed. Now, I have no illusions here. The Bushes have not given up. Terrific story in the New York Daily News about how the Bush family will now swing their weight first behind Marco Rubio. They put the little skirmish with Rubio, who is their protege, behind them. And now they are all out to stop Trump. Make no mistake about this. Barbara Bush will be out campaigning for Hillary Clinton this fall if Donald Trump is the nominee. So the financial wherewithal and the Bush...
Well, they call each other family.
They're very close because they've stolen together, because they've profiteered together.
They've had fake charities together.
Yes, 4 of them, all of which are complete and total financial scams. So don't write Jeb off. Jeb's now looking at 4 years from now. And they got George P. He's the land commissioner here in Texas. He's waiting in the wings. These people are criminals. They wrap themselves in patriotism, yet they've never made an honest dime in their lives, and they have profiteered mightily from the system. Don't think that Jeb is just licking his wounds and riding off into the sunset.
So, folks, you need to understand, you're about to get the inside baseball on how they plan to sabotage Trump at the convention or past that at the election. So give us the battle plan, General.
Yes, here's what's going to happen. First of all, the rules for the convention have to be adopted before the convention. Most egregious is Rule 40B. This was originally passed by the Romney people to jam one of my heroes, Ron Paul. Ron Paul legitimately won delegates, but they didn't want those delegates even to be registered in the convention, and they wouldn't let this congressman, a Republican congressman, they would never allow his name to even be put in nomination. So they will take Rule 40B, which just before the convention must be either readopted or amended or dropped, but they will use 40B to allow someone who has not won a single delegate, who has not won a single caucus or a single primary, to allow someone's name to be put on the floor, a white knight for the establishment. It would have been Jeb, but Jeb is now so discredited in this cycle. He is so bombed out with voters that they know that's not credible. That's why Mitt Romney is all dressed up and ready to go. That's why Mitt Romney was viciously attacking Donald Trump on Twitter last night, all through the debate. Mitt Romney he's their horse. He's the horse they have on the sidelines waiting to bring him in.
Now, to explain how that happens, the Democrats have their superdelegate. The Republicans have something similar. If Trump doesn't get a certain number when they go the first round there at the convention, when the people place their delegates.
Yes.
So are they planning to try to force Romney completely in, or make him VP?
Here's the steps that they would take. Number one, they will take away the fact that delegates are bound on the first ballot.
Oh.
Let's take New York, for example. The delegation to the convention from New York State will be handpicked by the Republican state chairman, Ed Cox.
And by the way, just to back you up, it was in the news last night that 200 top Republicans met in secret. A bunch of them, basically the delegates, or the super delegates of another name, in New York with Rubio's people on how to steal it.
Exactly
So
right.
what you're saying is fact. Please continue.
Right. So they will try to unbind those delegates, meaning that even if state law in various states requires a delegate to vote on the basis of the result of the state primary, they will seek to unbind them. Alternatively, they stall Trump short of victory on the first ballot, because then on the second ballot, all of the binding is gone. So even though I expect Donald Trump to triumph in the New York primary, where his campaign is being run by one of the great organizers and rabble-rousers of all time, my friend Carl Palladino, and where they will thrash the establishment, upstate, downstate, on Long Island, in the New York suburbs, the will of the voters can be undone by these convention rules. Now, what I have done is start to reach out to some of my old associates, some of them going back to the Goldwater campaign, some of them going back to the Reagan campaign, to pull together some of the best convention operatives in America today. We have set up a fund to pay for their travel, to pay for their hotel rooms, to bring them to Cleveland to avoid the steal. You can go to stopthesteal.com right now if you want to make a contribution.
So I said this from the beginning. We're launching a major move to stop them stealing the will of the voters. This is how elections are really won, folks.
And what we need is the pros. We need the people who know these rules, and they know the ropes. Here's what I do know. The Bush people have manipulated the convention rules since the 80s, and they know the inside game, and they're prepared to play the inside game. As you point out, there's 150 superdelegates. The superdelegates are Republican National Committee members and state chairs. Very few Donald Trump votes within that group. So if you do the math, Trump doesn't have to win 50% of the delegates up for grabs in the primaries and caucuses. He's got to win 54%. Otherwise, he's short of the magic number, and that's what they seek to
So
do.
we need a landslide, folks, to override this.
Absolutely. And in all honesty, at this point, Ben Carson, who I do think is a patriot, Ted Cruz, who I don't think is a patriot, Ted Cruz, whose wife Heidi was Condoleezza Rice's deputy when they started the Iraq War. Then she went over to the U.S. Trade Representative's office.
He is a Herbert Walker Bush minion protege.
No question. This is where he came from. Trump actually understated the case last night. Ted Cruz recruited John Robert.
Are you saying, because I believe you, and I don't
All right, guys, I'm going to stop it there. Once again, you can find this video on my Facebook page, Riell Truth Radio. It's a little under 2 hours, but it's 2 hours very well spent. Item from the New York Post. Confidential polling data shows Hillary Clinton could lose the presidential election in heavily Democratic New York to Donald Trump, as the GOP frontrunner support grows to the point of being, quote, surprisingly strong, the Post has learned. The poll results from Democratic and Republican legislative races have surprised many leading Dems, virtually all of whom have endorsed Clinton, while confounding and energizing GOP leaders, many of whom until recently had been opposed to Trump. There are some Democrats who think Hillary can be taken if Trump mounts a strong campaign, one of the state's most prominent Democrats said. Item from Fox News, a senior Hillary Clinton aide has maintained her top secret security clearance despite sending information now deemed classified to the Clinton Foundation and to then Secretary of State Clinton's private unsecured email account, according to congressional letters obtained by Fox News. Current and former intelligence officials say it is standard practice to suspend a clearance pending the outcome of an investigation. Yet, in the case of Cheryl Mills, Clinton's former chief of staff at the State Department, 2 letters indicate this practice is not being followed, even as the Clinton email system remains the subject of an FBI investigation. My friends, we're about to take a hard break. When we come back, we'll hear more from Roger Stone in this special interview with Alex Jones on Infowars.com. He's got the inside track on how the political machine in Washington is intending to steal the election from thee and me. We'll be right back.
Howdy, folks. Have you ever